So January just ended, and this was the first month that I really tried to take Teachers Pay Teachers seriously. The activity on my Teachers Pay Teachers store increased significantly, especially compared to previous months where I had pretty much been ignoring the fact that my store existed to begin with. Well, except for those infrequent emails that I would get every once in a while to say that somebody had bought something and I was going to get a tiny deposit in my PayPal account. Those were pretty sweet, but very infrequent. So in this video, we're actually going to be looking at some of the metrics and analytics that you can pull up about your TPT store, show you how those looked for me in January compared to previous months, and then get into some reflection on what I think went well, what was not going really well, and what goals I have set for February and beyond. So let's switch the camera up and get to an actual screen. Alright, so in January, I sold a total of 7 items. Now that probably doesn't sound like a lot, but keep in mind that I've had this store since about 2013, and this was my highest grossing month ever. If you compare my results this year to those of last year, you can see that this year I sold 7, last year in the same time period I only sold 1. To give some context, this year, I started the month of January with 7 products and 1 bundle. By the end of January, I had reached 11 total products on my store, which is about a time and a half what I had to begin with. And this doesn't reflect a direct cause and effect relationship there. It's not, if you increase the number of items in your store by 150%, you're going to end up with a 700% growth in sales. Like, that's not a thing. But there is a correlation between the number of items that you have for sale and the number of times that people can purchase your product. And my items themselves are kind of in the middle range of what I see all over the place in TPT. I typically don't create anything that I would price at less than $5. But I also haven't gotten to the point where I have enough products to create a lot of bundles. So the items that I have for sale are generally between $5 and $10, and my total earnings for this time period was only $19.83. But again, compared to last year, $5.19, that's a significant increase. I guess the one thing that I sold last year was my 1 bundle that I've had up there for like 3 years, because that's the only thing that would be enough to get me $5.19 from a single sale. Anyway, if you instead compare last month to just the previous month, we get a 2-month stretch, and you can see an increase there as well. 26.91 in total, 19 and some change of which that was all generated in January. Now, there are some selling trends that are probably at play there. Not a lot of people buying things right before they go out on winter break, but still, in January, adding more products to the store is giving me more visibility, more opportunities to make money. One cool thing that you can do on this page is narrow down and see where that actual money is coming from. What I'm looking at here is the sales from my entire store. If I click on this little 4 drop-down menu, I can narrow it down to products. And I can see that the vast majority of sales that I had were this Careers in Culinary Arts slideshow project. All of these other items were only sold once. This one just happens to be a little more expensive than the others, so it looks like a bigger piece of the pie, and I guess technically it is, but that's a bundle. Now, ironically, I created 4 different products that were very similar to this Careers in Culinary Arts slideshow project, and the others got very little traction. Here's one of them down here for health science, computer science down here, and then sports entertainment should be on the list somewhere. Way down here with no sales at all. There could be a lot of reasons for that, but I think it has a lot to do with how flooded the market is in some of these categories. For example, let's take computer science and search for just that keyword and see how many search results come up. It is actually 76,000 results. That is a lot of other products to be competing with if I'm trying to get people to see my product that centers on computer science. For reference, the other 4 categories, health science comes up with 29,000 results, and culinary arts is only 2,000. So if somebody's looking for something about culinary arts, the likelihood of my results showing up in their search is far higher than, for example, if I'm competing with 79,000 other products. For what it's worth, that sports entertainment project is only competing with 940 other results. So that has a far higher potential to be seen. But the flip side of this is that those search terms that are coming up with very few results may be coming up with fewer results because fewer people are actually interested in that content. Whereas health science or computer science, those are very broad categories with lots and lots and lots of people teaching those topics. Sports entertainment is far more niche. It's far more specific. And even though it's probably easier to find my product with so few things that I'm competing with, there's also fewer people searching to begin with. So there's a balance there. And I think the goal is, at least starting out, to try to be the best in a category that is not oversaturated, but that some people are still searching for. And I think culinary arts might actually be that sweet spot, at least for me in this month, of yes, it's a topic that enough people are looking for, that there are plenty of resources out there and people are looking for those products, but at the same time, it's not so oversaturated with content that I have basically no hope, at least as a starting seller, of my product showing up in search results, or at least on the first couple pages of search results. And keep in mind here that I'm just starting out with this whole Teachers Pay Teachers thing. I do have some experience in like the gaming sphere, trying to build Twitch channels and build YouTube channels around the gaming topic. But this is my first time kind of digging into Teachers Pay Teachers. So when you hear me talk about those strategies and those thought processes around trying to show up in search results and trying to be more visible and trying to find a target audience, it's really me taking those lessons I learned from the gaming community and the gaming creator space and trying to reapply them here, where I'm not 100% sure that all of them are going to apply in the same way. But in theory, it should, at least to a point. The thing I want to look at is my actual views and traffic reports. So we're going to go back over to the dashboard and actually go to just January again and switch over to my views. Now I got 101 views for the entirety of the month. And that doesn't feel like a lot unless you look at conversions, in which case we can see that 7% of people who see my store are actually purchasing something. Conversion is how many people see it versus how many people actually make a purchase. And one of the interesting things that I noticed over the course of the month is back in the beginning of the month, I actually had a much higher conversion rate. Near the end of the month, I started noticing my conversion rate dropping off. Even the days that I was making a sale, the conversion rate was much lower. And I think that's because if I go over to traffic, I start seeing this trend of getting some views from YouTube itself. Now, the interesting thing about traffic from YouTube is that the people looking at my channel on YouTube are probably just looking at my store to see what I'm talking about on my YouTube channel, which is not necessarily lining up with what I'm selling on my store. These other two traffic sources, Facebook and TPT emails, that is interesting to me. I'm not sure how that even happened. I don't have any links on Facebook. I haven't submitted any products to the newsletter for publication or whatever. So I'm not sure how that happened, but I'm cool with it. Like, send some people my way. The thing that is kind of annoying to me is this blank here. I thought that they would share more information about this. And for a while, I also thought that, like, okay, maybe that information is reserved for premium members because I don't have premium. My wife does, though. And her click-throughs are showing as blank when I look at this on her account as well. So I'm not really sure why you don't get any traffic information here. That seems weird. Maybe one of you can explain that to me in the comments below. Help me out here. Why does that happen? Why does Teachers Pay Teachers not share the click-throughs within their own site? I don't know. So this kind of leads me into the reflection and goals piece of what I'm learning in this part of the year, in my first year taking this seriously, and what I want to test and see about doing in the future. So there are three big things that I want to focus on as far as growing my business and growing my channel here and all of the above for February. One is, how do I attract more traffic to my actual store. 101 views, 101 visits it feels a little paltry. It feels a little small, and I'd like that to be a lot higher. Number two, and this goes back to the conversions that I mentioned a few minutes ago, when that traffic comes, how can I better make sure that those people who are visiting are finding something that is of value to them? How do I make sure that those people who are visiting see something on the page that is at least intriguing enough to consider purchasing or downloading if it's a free product? I'm already trying to address this a little bit with a new product that I just loaded just within the last couple of days. And that is a collection of different books and podcasts and YouTube channels that have inspired me and taught me about entrepreneurship over the years, and also those that are continuing to teach me now. And I'm sharing that for free on my Teachers Pay Teachers store, just as a free download. So if that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hop over and download it. It'll be in my featured products section, at least for the near future, and you can also click the link in the description below to go directly to that actual product. And last but not least, the third thing that I really want to focus on in February is when it's best to sign up for Teachers Pay Teachers Pro. I mentioned earlier that my wife has signed up for Pro. I have not. And my brain trying to kind of break down when it's best kind of points me in the direction of there's got to be a mathematical ideal time. I've thought about it in my head, but I haven't really put numbers to some of those theories that are bouncing around in this noggin. And what I want to do is, at some point before the end of February, really sit down with some spreadsheets and numbers and do some calculations and see what is the best time. What is the best time to sign up for Pro? When is that $60 investment worth it? And as soon as I have that video prepared and posted, then I will link to it up in the little card that'll pop up on the screen, but also in the description below as well. That pretty much wraps it up for this month's report and update. I look forward to seeing you in the future for further updates and more tips and tricks and tools and tutorials for how to do this Teachers Pay Teachers thing better. And I'll look forward to you getting to improve alongside me and hopefully avoid some of the same mistakes that I'm making along the way. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're interested in career exploration materials, you are welcome to click on my TPT Store, which will be down in the description below. And if you're looking for elementary resources or art resources, my wife's store will be linked in the description below as well. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you soon.